Welcome back, everybody. So, I guess this will be part 2 of getting this go-kart rear suspension done. So, let's get started. Got it torn down a little bit. I actually pulled one of the arms off just to kind of see how much travel I was going to get with this setup. I was going to have to bring those out more, but I think this is going to work just fine. I ordered my axles last night, and I'll talk about all the parts I used at the end of the last video here when I go through everything. So alright, well, that only took about an hour. We got her all stripped down. So what we gotta figure out is come all the way down. Our center section, which would probably be the strongest. Would that look okay? That's gonna be something else, but I do know I have an 8-inch spread on my bolt pattern, so I need an 8-inch spread on my frame rails to keep everything even. So we'll continue on, design as we go. So unfortunately, a lot of this stuff's gonna get cut out, but I kind of knew that when I built it. I was planning on changing this in the future. So we'll just have to figure it out. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start breaking down this rear axle setup because I need the disc, the sprockets, and the ends of the axle. So I'm going to have to get that chain moved over to the other side. Don't know how I'm going to do that yet, but I'm sure I can figure that out. Still need to keep the spacing right on this, so that might be tough. But so once I get the center section built, that'll determine the width of my frame rails here. So we'll go ahead and get this torn down and QA slot didn't turn out that bad. I cut this whole piece out and shifted over a little bit to make sure my pulleys are lined up now. I probably could have turned a whole new axle, but that would have taken a long time. This will be faster. And it'll be stronger because I didn't want to have, like, if I turned a whole new axle, I'd have this big 1-inch, 1.5-inch space before my pulley, you know, putting all that torque on the shaft, so this will be better. It's all set and done. It's just a ton of work, so we'll get it done. That all cut and tack welded where we want it, squared up. So I just gotta weld all this up. I might even put some spacers in there because those are some pretty big gaps we got there now. Because these were 2 different sizes. This was meant to made up against that, but don't really care. I might even just throw some more gussets in there since I got room to do it. We'll get her all welded up, but that's gonna work great. That's gonna get our chain down in the middle where we want it. So I also remachined that spacer on this side to get the play out. And then I figured out that this side actually has a little play now. It's a little undersized where I cut the bearing race where the bearing used to sit was over here. So might build it up with weld, might cut it back down to the same size as this shaft and make another chromoly spacer. You know, that's something that's replaceable, so that might be good. So we'll figure it out if we're lucky. All right, so what we gotta do next is we're gonna get this engine in here so we can figure out our drivetrain. of trimming and fine tuning, but I think that's what I'm gonna do. But how am I gonna get my motor in now? So I could either cut this bar out and put some bolt-in tabs to where my motor comes out this way, but I actually think these bars might be in the way of my A-arms, so I might just get rid of these. That way I can take it in and out the side and maybe just put something shorter. It goes like from here down. It's got plenty of strength up top, and then once this is all tied in, it's gonna be really strong, so not too worried about that. All right, we're getting somewhere now. Those pieces are all welded in. Don't think the gas tank's gonna work. Probably gonna have to build a new one for up front. But tomorrow we're gonna go ahead and start working on these tubes, the lower tubes. Go from that lower part of the frame, and then they'll meet back up to this. Probably gonna have to re-drill these holes and re-clock that a little bit. Otherwise, everything's going together pretty good. I think that's enough for today. My wife's gonna shoot me if I don't get inside and play with the kids. All right, we're back. I swept. So I came out last night, burned a little midnight oil. Got a couple pieces bent. Got my notcher set up. Actually got one piece notched. So I have this piece marked kind of, roughly, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut this one side in and started kind of mocking this up the way it's gonna sit in here. And my axles are on their way. They should be here anytime. Let's get started. Alright, so we got a couple more pieces cut in for the lower. It goes back to the bottom side of the frame. It's all looking pretty good. Alright, so now what we got to do is figure out how to make these things a level. So what I did was I took some string, actually it's the inside of paracord, tied some nuts to it. Got a bunch hanging here. So now we can come over here till our string touches. In the front and the back, and then we'll tack weld them in. I actually have to grind the frame still, so I guess I gotta take all this apart again. Here we go. We got it pretty much welded up, and it's all measured out good, so got that sitting in there. Alright, I'm gonna work on, actually I had some friends come over, so I was doing this where they were going to, had to cut that and smash that down in my press to get that flat. And then I took this, which fit in here, basically from the bottom side, and this, which fit in there. Traced it all out from the one side, and then I drilled myself a pilot hole, and I just marked all that. So that's my radius there, all good. So then I took a set of these guys, figured out how far I wanted to space them, marked them all. So it should be close enough for government work. I'm gonna have to weld this up, but I think I'm just gonna go ahead and drill that hole first. So I got these all punched. I'm gonna drill these. That way we can reclock. Clean this up, weld that, grind it down, and we'll install it, see how it fits. So it looks like it's gonna work all right. It's a little tight here. There's enough room for the chain, and I can always clearance this a little bit if I need to up here. All right, so a few changes have been made. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but before my sprocket was hanging down like 3 inches. So I went ahead and I raised it up there. Raised the motor up. Just put put some spacers under there. This is all temporarily all tacked in place for now. Really need a new chain. This chain has a bunch of stiff links in it. It's not easy to do the alignment, but I got it pretty darn good. Everything's working out so far. My axles were supposed to be here today, but it's 9 o'clock at night and dark outside, and they're not here yet. So, alright guys, I just got back from the steel yard. It's Cinco de Mayo. More 1-inch 120 wall. I grabbed some round plates, 1/4 inch thick. So I need to drill some 1-inch holes in this perfectly center so I can machine them down to size. They're barely gonna fit in my mini lathe. It's probably gonna destroy it, but we'll see what happens. So I'm gonna get to work and try and get these stub shaft, output shaft, stub, whatever you want to call them, machined out and welded together. Another thing I forgot to mention is my axles actually came in. Porsche 912, or basically a Super Beetle axle. Probably only gonna net me about 12 inches of travel, but that'll be enough. So for this thing, I think it only used about 6 inches before, so we'll see what it does now. All our center lines marked here, and we'll just use a punch and pre-drill with an 1/8 inch drill bit. I just threw some Dykem on there and got myself a circle, so I need to lose all this material. I don't want to lose it on the lathe, that's too much. I'm just going to cut it. It should only take about 5-10 minutes to cut the most. So alright, so I've never tried this before, but I'm gonna give it a shot. I got this screwed down to that, so it'll spin. This is chucked into my vise. I can adjust this right where I want it to be. Hopefully right there. Now this is tight. Now my vise also rotates this way, so I can loosen these two up and rotate it that way. So I'm gonna clip this thing on, put my safety glasses on, and we'll see what happens. Don't forget to wear your mask. This is more deadly than the corona. Got both those cut out. All right, so we got our 250 wall, 1-inch inner diameter, 1.5 inch outer diameter. Gone ahead and made a mark on it. So what you do is you take your pliers and you just twist real hard. Comes right off. So now that we got our piece off, we can go ahead and get this centered up on there. I'm gonna go ahead and open this hole up to 3/16 now. It's the size of the pin I'm using. Now that that's done, I machined this piece out of aluminum. That should fit right inside there nice and snug. And that pin is centered, so it should fit in our hole there. Beautiful. Okay, so now that's centered on there. We can go ahead and tack weld it, and we'll stick it in the lathe now that we got something to grab onto. Quick note, I've already faced this piece in the lathe to make sure it's flat, square, whatever you want to call it. So we'll go ahead and tack it. Alright, I'm gonna let that cool and then we'll finish it off in the lathe. I went and took this down to 30mm on the lathe, so it'll fit nicely in there, nice and snug, no movement. Now this will get welded to a piece of axle, which will have threads on the other end and bolt tight. So I'll show you how this all works. So I'm going to be using the existing axle, so I got my threads and my keyway for my hub, and then this part will get welded to that, and then it'll have a flange like this basically, which I'm going to do next, where my CV joint can bolt to, and that'll turn the whole system. So, a lot of work. Get to it. after that one to cool, we can start machining this to size and getting it cleaned up. We're low on battery power, but don't worry about this. I will clean this when I'm done in my solvent tank. I've been using this for mock-up and got a bunch of shit, so oops, got a bunch of stuff in it, so that's how I'm doing this. I'm machining these to the right size. The same size as that diameter. So it's on there nice and tight. Now we can stick a drill in here, or we can make a bushing, but I'm too lazy for that. Probably just get the right size drill and, you know, mark this piece by just kind of giving it a little bit of a drill peck, and then we'll take it off and finish drilling it out in the drill press. But this will get us all our marks where we need to drill it. So that's how I'm doing that. Hopefully it's somewhat concentric when we're done. We're not building a space shuttle here, so it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but we're trying our hardest to keep everything nice, so should turn out good. So I found a drill bit that fits in there nice and tight, not a lot of place, so that'll get us really centered on our holes. Oh, I love my tools. They work so well. Yeah, that did. Hopefully it did good, because lining these back up again is going to be hard. Perfect. Cool. I'll probably come through with like an 1/8 inch pilot bit and pilot drill all these, and then we'll bring them out to 5/16. Alright, well I'm ready to drill these, so what I did is I put that bushing back in the middle so I can rotate these. They'll all line up in their little holes, so I'm going to go ahead and drill this one. So I'm working out of a cardboard box here. So that goes in there. I'm gonna leave about 1/4 inch because I want to weld it down in here a little ways. So I'll probably just leave it out about 1/4 inch, and I'll mark it and cut that real quick. All that's left to do is press that on there. Nice tight, pretty decent fit. And I don't want to press it all the way in there. I want to leave a little room so that nut actually tightens everything and sandwiches it together. Alright, back to our box. So, measured it already, and everything looks like it's going to work out okay. Slide in there, and then that'll draw it together once, so that has a lot more room. So, that'll be nice and tight, just the way we like it. So I'm going to TIG weld this so I can really burn it in good. I went ahead and welded that without recording it.
You guys get the picture.
Alright, you might notice I've done some work back here. So I got this on, and before I did, I pre-drilled a hole from the back side. We're going to go ahead and drill a 3/16 hole and then insert our roll pin, and we'll just weld the hole shut later so no grease gets through there. I got that drilled in there pretty darn deep. Now we can weld that hole up, and the only way it'll come out is if we pull this off. But that locks our shafts. Then we'll have two set screws that are divoted into the axle too to kind of help it. So if it's not enough, then we might have to redesign it, but we're gonna give it a shot. Well, a few more days and we'll have her done. We're getting close now. We got to build A-arms next and get this all back on its wheels.